Welcome to the 21 Convention, Miami, Florida. Our next speaker is a 21 Convention alumni, actually under 21 Convention alumni. He's also the founder and host of the Legendary Life podcast, Celebrity to the Stars, overall amazing dude. Let's bring on Ted Ryce.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. All right, really excited to be here for my second talk at the 21 Convention. The title of the talk is 6 Fitness Secrets to Get Bigger, Leaner, and Stronger. And I feel a little bit bad because I watched some of the last presentation. I'm going to be hitting you with some different information. So I know you're probably going to have a lot of questions. I'll try to make sure we have some time for that afterward. But I want you to understand that fitness people kind of all say the same things as far as the principles go. So just keep that in mind. And in case you don't know me, you don't know who I am, my name is Ted Ryce. I've been a health and fitness professional for the past 17 years in Miami Beach, Florida. I've worked with guys like Richard Branson, Robert Downey Jr., Ricky Martin. Most of my current clients are CEOs of multi-million-dollar companies. And I also work with people around the world in our coaching group, CEO Strength. And I tell you this because I help people like you. One thing I didn't say is I don't train Olympic athletes and I don't train powerlifting competitors or professional bodybuilders. I help people get their fitness handled. I also have a podcast called Legendary Life, and it's been so amazing to sit down and speak with some of who I consider the world's leading experts on health and fitness, strength and conditioning, medical doctors, neuroscientists, and more on my show. And if you haven't listened to it, highly recommend you go to legendarylifepodcast.com. It's a free podcast, full information, and so many amazing guests on that show. Anthony's been on it, Joe's been on it, so and more. And I want you to know that maybe my story sounds pretty cool. This guy's working with celebrities and all these VIP people in Miami Beach, but I want you to know I'm an ordinary guy. It took me a long time to figure this stuff out. It took me a long time and a lot of hard work to get where I am today. In fact, my story of how I got into fitness is one of tragedy, one of overcoming tragedy. I wasn't a jock in high school. I wasn't the popular guy. In fact, when I went into high school, my mom died in a car accident, and I was just in a really stressed out state. And yeah, I hit the gym. I exercised because I thought women would like me more if I did that. But I partied just as much, if not more, as I hit those weights. And I started to pull things together, but when I did, and I got into college, started getting good grades for the first time, my 9-year-old brother, Jimmy, went missing when I was 19 years old. And it turned out 3 months later, we found out that he had been kidnapped and murdered that day he went missing. And I share this story with you because I want you to understand that health and fitness is much more than just six-pack abs or building your biceps or trying to look good in the gym, trying to be cool. This can literally push you through any obstacle, any adversity that you're facing in your life. Maybe for you, it's not a story like that. Maybe it's a divorce, maybe it's a bankruptcy, maybe you're out of school and you're not sure what to do with your life. Health and fitness is what I say is the foundation of success. And after I went through that, I was broken, right? I want you to understand that I've been really low. I understand what it's like to be anxious, what it's like to feel weird, like being depressed, not feeling like I had a shot at the type of life that I wanted to live. I also want to tell you that health and fitness helped me through that. What I say is that health and fitness saved my life, and I mean that literally. I have no idea where I'd be had I not gotten into the fitness business. And one amazing lesson that I learned that we'll talk about a little bit more in depth, but I want to bring it up now, is a lot of us, we're here, we intellectualize things. Oh, I'm anxious. when I talk to people, or when I try to talk to women, or when I ask my boss for a raise. And what I want to tell you is that if you have negative feelings, if you're going through something tough in your life, you can experience what I experienced, which was I could be feeling a certain way, I'd hit a workout, and I felt better. We like to say that, it's because my life is this way, or because what happened in my past, or my parents, or whatever. But what I want to tell you is you have way more control over the way you feel than you think. And that's what I learned. I would feel terrible, and I'd hit a workout, then I felt better. Nothing outside of me changed. It was an internal change. So there's this idea that working out, superficial, is for like bros in the gym. Okay, there's that aspect to it, but it also is a powerful tool. In fact, I did a little workout today because I knew I'd be up here presenting to kind of calm down and chill out. It is a tool that can help you succeed in life. And it's ultimately about transformation. And isn't that why you're here? You want to improve your life? You want to live up to your full potential? That's the theme we're talking about, transformation. And I don't just mean that about physically. Oh, my biceps are bigger. Okay, that's cool. But if you saw me before I started really taking health and fitness seriously, yeah, I look different now. More importantly, and what you can't see, is how I feel inside. And the same thing can happen to you if you take this seriously. If you go for it, if you commit to it, it can make you a different person. And I want to tell you, I've been in the business for 17 years, but it was hard to figure out what was good information, what wasn't worth listening to. It was a struggle. And 17 years ago, it was very difficult because there wasn't a lot of information available. You had the bodybuilders who were saying, hey, if you follow this workout and take this supplement, you'll look like me. The guy's completely huge. I believed that. Until later on when I figured out, oh, these guys just take a lot of drugs, right? And they could walk up the stairs and get huge quads. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way too. I was like, who can I listen to in this business? Now, fast forward to where we are today, we have a different problem. We're inundated with information. It's just, we're drowning in it. And it's very difficult to differentiate the good information from the bad. And I want to tell you what I'm here today, what I'm sharing with you is some of my best information, stuff that's very current and some things you probably never even heard of before. And if you do it, it can help you. And the problem is who to follow. And I know we have some other speakers who spoke on health and fitness. And if you have questions about it, great. And everybody here is obviously solid and worth listening to, or Anthony wouldn't have them here. But I also want to tell you to watch out, right? Controversy, conflicting information, and the lies. And for conflicting information and controversy, it doesn't need to be that complicated. I'm going to try to simplify it and give you some techniques today that you can try out for yourself. But as far as the lies, I mean, that used to drive me nuts, right? That's like, that's a joke, but it's not that far away from what supplement companies try to sell you, or the bodybuilder guys. In fact, there's a documentary you can watch where they're asking this bodybuilder, like, hey, do you really expect people to believe that you just took this fat-burning supplement and look the way you look? He's like, well, it's up to people. People need to take responsibility. All right? So that's out there. And I want to share with you some truths that I've figured out over my studies, over talking to all the experts that I've spoken to, all the seminars I've been to. And the first thing I want to share with you is that you're a biological machine. What does that mean? Well, like any machine, it has rules that it needs to follow to function optimally, okay? For example, you wouldn't take your car and run it in a race if your tires were bald, the alignment was off, buying the cheap gas. You wouldn't do that because you would not win. And I want to tell you that modern life, what you aspire to today, it's like running a race. We got to be on our game more than ever these days. And many of you are running your bodies like that car. Your alignment's off, your tires are bald, putting in the cheap gas, poor quality food. And once you start learning the rules and start following them, and there's no need to be super strict about it. We can all have some fun and have some pizza and whatever, have a few drinks. But just understand the rules, start to learn the rules, understand the level that you want to aspire to with your health and fitness, and figure it out and do your best. Another thing is that health and fitness will solve most of your problems. Oh, how do I get rid of anxiety in my life? How do I feel better? How do I feel happier? And I want to tell you, stop thinking about it. Start taking action. Health and fitness, if you start dialing in your sleep, your exercise, your nutrition, you start managing your stress, all of a sudden, that depression, that anxiety, that negative emotion, however, whatever you want to call it or define it, starts to become less. And the other part, I'm not going to talk about social skills, but many of the other speakers have. And if you handle just those two things, you're going to be so far ahead in your life. Okay? You're going to be so far ahead in your life. And I mentioned the social skills too because I got into really, really great shape in my 20s and my life still kind of sucked. And I was like, okay, what do I need to do? And it wasn't until I started focusing on knowing how to communicate better. All right, learning how to network, learning how to make friends, learning how to talk to people and be cool. But health and fitness formed the foundation for me to go and do that. Another thing to keep in mind is that modern life is destroying your health. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to go back to hunting my food and foraging and getting a bacterial infection and not taking antibiotics because I want to be like hardcore paleo. Don't want to go back to that. But it's important to understand that you got to understand the type of environment that we're in. Our genes aren't set up for it. And it's cool, but you got to understand. How many of you, for example, sleep at least 7 hours per night? That's great. How many of you get daily low-intensity exercise, just making sure you get your 10,000 steps, going for walks, getting outside? Some people fell off there. So how many of you at least go to the gym 2 days per week? Awesome. How many of you eat mostly whole foods? Great. You're ahead of the game. That's great. Because most people in America aren't. What's the number one killer today? It's not ISIS, it's not terrorist attacks, it's not plane crashes, it's not shark attacks, right? It's heart disease. Heart disease. The second is cancer. By the way, I like the joke. Survival rate is 0 for everybody, right? So that's what we're up against. Cancer is number 2, heart disease is number 1, and most of those are lifestyle-related diseases, or a large part of it. And someone was talking about genes earlier. Okay, cool, but if you look at what the people say about genetics, genes are what you're born with, lifestyle pulls the trigger, okay? The genes load the gun, your lifestyle pulls the trigger. And health and fitness doesn't need to be complicated. Eat, move, sleep, manage your stress. You need to eat well, you need to move well, you need to sleep well, manage your stress. Joe talked a lot about that, okay? 4 pillars, very simple. Today, I don't have time to go into how to eat or sleep or manage stress. Would love to do a retreat maybe in the future to take you guys through some of that, maybe a group of us to take you through that. I'm going to talk about moving well, and I chose that word on purpose because I hate it when people talk about exercise. Well, I'm not an exercise person. It's like, well, you move, don't you? You like to continue moving, don't you? You like sex, don't you? You got a human body, you're designed to move. Exercise is just a more purposeful way of moving, okay, with specific goals in mind. So let's get into the more practical and fun stuff. How to get bigger, leaner, and stronger. And I'd love to take you through some drills, some exercises, because I know you've been sitting, I know you've been listening to people. So if you are down for participating, would love for you to, come out and try some of the things that I'm talking about, because it can change what you do when you go back and work out on your own. First thing I want to tell you is you got to be consistent. Consistency, it's the number one rule for success in any endeavor. Any goal that you have, you got to go after it consistently. There's just no way around it. And specific to exercise, your muscles, they start to go backwards if you don't stimulate them. This is a lifelong thing. There's no, I worked out 3 months, I'll take 6 months off. No, this is a lifelong thing. I mean, I don't work out every single day of every single week. That's too much, and we can talk about how to structure workouts a little bit later, but you gotta be consistent. And the next thing is, so many people ask about what exercises should I do? Should I use kettlebells? Should I use barbells? Should I do body weight training? Great questions. How should I structure my workouts? Should I do high intensity training? Should I do high frequency training? What should I do? Great questions. But what I want to tell you is the number one determinant of whether you get results and how good your results are going to be how good your technique is. So let's play around with a couple of ideas. And I'd love for you to actually get up out of your chairs and do some of this. So what we're going to do, we're going to practice accentuating the negative. And the previous speaker, David, talked about some great things, this arbitrary 10 seconds up and 10 seconds down. Cool. I've given you some numbers, but they're rough guidelines. Okay? 3 to 4 seconds. Oops, sorry about that. 3 to 4 seconds could be 3 to 5 seconds. So what I'd like you to do, let's do push-ups, because you could do squats if you wanted, if you're more of a leg person, or do push-ups. So what I want you to do is we're going to do some push-ups. We're going to take a count of 4 seconds on the way down. Now I'd like a person to help. Okay, so we have a volunteer to come up and demonstrate some of this while.
It was like my worst thing ever. Like I cannot do one.
Okay, well go ahead and come on up. We can give a hand for Maria. Awesome, thank you so much for being the model. Much better looking than all of our other choices here. So all the men here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a squat instead of a push-up. How about that? Okay. So what I want you to do, are you okay with that?
Yeah. Can I do it like this?
Of course. So give me 10, face this way. Okay. Give me 10 bodyweight squats.
Yeah?
Good? Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, have a rest. That's based. Give her a hand. Awesome. So how did that feel in your muscles?
I felt it a lot in my back.
Okay.
Definitely like the back of my thighs and like my glutes. Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't like strenuous completely. It was just.
Okay, cool. So just pay attention to that. Now we're going to do something different. We're going to accentuate the negative. So I want you to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then come up. And let's do 5 reps like that.
And then when you want me to do squats, like just...
Yeah, you can turn your feet out to about maybe 10 degrees.
Okay.
Okay? Wasn't going to get too technical on you, but go ahead,
Okay.
go ahead and give me 5 reps. Don't think about it too much, but think about feeling your muscles. Take about 4 seconds on the way down. Let's do a few reps. And then come up quick. Good. Good. Try to break from your hips coming back, but otherwise looks good. 3, 4, one more. Guys, you should be doing this too. Sorry. How'd that feel now?
Better, a lot more resistance.
So which way did you feel your muscles more?
The slow way.
The slow way,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
so do you have to take 5 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever seconds? Just control the eccentric. Accentuate the negative or the eccentric. Now what I want to do is show you how to use some isometric pauses. And go ahead and do some push-ups too. She's doing squats, but you can try both. So here's what we're going to do now. You're going to take 4 seconds down, you're going to pause for a second, and then you're going to squeeze up quick.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Same thing. Get about shoulder width apart.
Okay.
There you go. Feet just a little bit out because your glutes work better when your hips are externally rotated just a little bit.
Knees.
Don't worry about those. Just get
Okay.
your hips back. Take 4 seconds. Pause at the bottom. Nice. 4 more.
Squeeze my glutes.
Don't worry about that at the top. Just the pause at the bottom. Good. 2, 3, 4. Pause at the bottom. Rushing that pause. Count for a full second. Good.
Yeah.
You felt that a little bit more,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Cool. Cool. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to stimulate your muscles. And what happens with most people is that they push through the reps. 1, 2, 10, 5. You care about the reps. Your body doesn't count so well. But you know what? It tells time a lot better than it counts. It knows how many seconds. Don't worry, you're not done yet, so don't run away. So your body tells time a lot better. It knows how much time it's under tension. Okay? So that's what I want. That's a technique. We're doing push-ups and squats, but you can use that for anything. You can use that for bicep curls. You can use that for bench presses. You can use that for dips or single leg deadlifts or whatever exercise, and we'll talk about exercises in a little bit. You can use it for whatever you want. So let's try another technique. This is something I learned about recently. So are you up for another challenge? Awesome. This is called an eccentric isometric. This is kind of I don't want to say it's a new technique, but fairly new. And there are specific reasons why we're going to do this and pause for at least 2 seconds to 7 seconds and no more than 7 seconds at the bottom of the stretch position. But I don't want to bore you guys with details. But I'm getting this in particular from Dr. Joel Seidman. He did his entire PhD on this technique and concept. Very interesting. So here, but I want you to experience it. So we're going to hop back up. You can do squats, you can do push-ups. Maria, here's what we're going to do now. And we're going to be doing the hypertrophy one. And I want you all to experience this as well. So what you're going to do now, you're going to take 4 seconds, you're going to pause for 4 seconds, and then you're going to squeeze up under control.
Okay.
So let's do
4
5
seconds.
seconds,
Okay.
5 reps, sorry.
Okay.
4 seconds, pause for 4, and go for it. Everybody else try this. Try it with squats, try it with push-ups.
So just hold at the bottom, push up.
4 seconds at the bottom. Oh, wait a minute.
Was that wrong?
That was not 4 seconds.
Okay.
I'll count for you. Let's do it again.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now squeeze up quick. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Squeeze up quick. Give me two more, because we're friends.
Okay.
4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Give me one more. Boom, I love it. High five, that was awesome. Okay, awesome. What did you feel differently about that?
It was definitely more of a workout than like me doing many reps, like
Right.
from the beginning.
Right, so instead of doing a bunch of reps, now
Yeah.
you feel your muscles a lot more than if you were to do like 10 or 20 or 15 or
Yeah.
whatever.
Totally.
Yeah, awesome. Well, let's give Maria a hand for being such an awesome. So did you feel that? Did you feel how your muscles kind of worked a bit harder, especially that pause at the bottom? And I've interviewed Dr. Joel Seidman on my podcast. You should check those interviews out if you'd like to learn more about the science behind why you do it this way, because it's not just, let me come up with something cool and interesting sounding. Oh, we'll throw in 2 to 7 seconds. No, there are specific neurophysiological rules that we're taking advantage of when we do it this particular way.
What was his name?
Dr. Joel Seidman. I'll make sure I give you the name afterward, but Dr. Joel Seidman. It's great stuff, and the interview with him is, he goes into detail. So now you can take that technique and use it with any strength or muscle building exercise that you do on your own. You can use that technique. One very quick thing, don't work to failure with that technique. That's supposed to be improving movement mechanics, joint centration, improving the function of your muscles. There's something that happens called post-activation potentiation, which is when you stress your muscles with exercise and it actually makes you stronger afterwards. So don't work to failure. Practice on doing as many perfect reps as you can when you use that particular technique. You can work to failure on other exercises with slower tempos. I personally never try to hit failure because I do high frequency training. Although it happens sometimes, it's not something I try to do. We can talk about that later if you have any questions about it. But and if you'd like me to take you through a workout, if you'd like me to be your coach and coach you not just on workouts, but also on sleep, on how to eat, on how to manage your stress, then that's where you go to. legendarylifepodcast.com/coaching. Or you can buy the workouts that we use for our coaching group, legendarylifepodcast.com/workout. And if you want me to take you through the eccentric isometrics and how to structure workouts and what exercises you should be doing, that's where you go. All right, the best exercises for size and strength. And I've got to put a little bit of a disclaimer up. Any exercise can work, right? It's all about stimulating muscle. So this is my personal choices because I think there's some real benefits to doing this type of training to, let's get into it. Squats, for example. Okay, you can make your leg muscles strong, and I'll give you a quick example. I trained a guy in his 60s, muscular arms, muscular legs. He was pedaling away for, 30, 45 minutes on a bike. And then he came and talked to me after I trained his friend. They're both in the real estate business, CEOs of these real estate companies. And he said, well, Ted, I'm in good shape, but I'm having trouble getting in and out of my car. And he has a sports car really low to the ground. And I said, well, show me your squat. His muscles were strong. He wasn't weak. He didn't know how to do the movement anymore. It goes beyond just muscles, okay? And there's a saying that I don't love completely, but it's important to keep in mind: train movements, not muscles. However, the muscles are doing the work. You need to be feeling them. You need to be able to feel like, oh, well, I feel what muscles are working here. But train movements, not muscles. This is a great movement, and that can be a squat with a barbell, a bodyweight squat, a single leg squat, squat with a kettlebell. It's a good one to work on. Deadlifts are great. You can also do loaded back extensions. So the thing about barbells that are different than other types of tools, and that's what we're talking about here, is that you can load a lot of weight on it. Although, if you use the eccentric isometrics that we just went over, you won't need to use a lot of weight, but you'll get stronger and build more muscle because you're really stimulating the muscle, okay? And you can optimize your movement mechanics too and your joint mobility. So that's another great exercise. Pull-up. I just feel like every guy should be able to do a pull-up. Now that's a bias of mine. You don't have to do it. You could do lat pull-downs or machine pull-downs or whatever, but I feel like that's something we should all aspire to. Okay? And maybe that involves building some strength if you're on the skinny side. Maybe it involves losing some weight, but it's something you should aspire to, even if you never actually hit it. Aspire to work on pull-ups, okay? And in my CO strength program, I help you do that. I help you master your body weight. I think there's a lot of beauty in mastering body weight exercises. Pushing, and I chose the ring dips for a reason. Ever seen a gymnast? Those guys are jacked. They don't take drugs. Why? Because someone over here mentioned earlier, connective tissue. You take steroids, that's how tendons rip off the bones, because the muscles get so strong and the metabolic rate of the connective tissue is so far behind, it literally tears the tendon right off the bone. Not good. So rings in general, but ring pushing exercises, ring pulling exercises, awesome. I know it says pushing, but I just want to throw in the other stuff. I love rings, and there's a reason that gymnastics, the way people perform, the bodies that they have, they're just incredible athletes. And so keep that in mind. Single leg exercise, because, okay, awesome, you can squat 500 pounds or 800 pounds, great. Can you do half of that on one leg? Can you do 100 pounds on one leg? Because there are some people who can lift a lot of weight and they can't do anything on one leg. That's not strength, okay? Not in the world that we all live in. And I love that idea that we have to be functional. I have some issues with the functional training, but there is a part, it's not just muscles, okay? There is a skill component. And definitely doing something on one leg, that's a skill that's good to have. It's going to help you in life. Core exercises are great, and that's a hanging leg raise. I would like to see his legs all the way up here, okay? Dragon flags or body levers are another. Work your core. Some strength coaches say, oh, you don't need to work your abdominals, your obliques directly, because when you're lifting heavy, they just get work. Well, that's not really so true, right? The SAID principle, specific adaptations to impose demands, which is a principle in exercise. If you want to make your abs show, if you want to build them, if you want them to be stronger, work them directly. Carries. I love carries because it's such a simple exercise. It's actually isometric for the most part, at least the part of your body that's doing the most effort. You pick up weights and you walk with them. It can be an incredible conditioning exercise. It can build muscle on your shoulders and traps, and all you got to do is pick up the weights and start walking. And I'm not going to get into specifics of how long The walk should be, you can ask me later if you're really interested in it, and there's different ways of doing it. So holding here, you saw the guy with the bottoms up kettlebell, you can hold over your head. And so there you go. Learn how to perform every exercise properly. So important. And experiment with isometric holds, accentuating the negatives, the eccentric part of the motion. Experiment with the eccentric isometrics. Strength is a skill. Strength is a skill. Okay? It's not just about how you see some of those guys deadlifting in their back and they're twisting. That's not what you should be aspiring to do, unless you're a competitive athlete and they actually mark that as a completed lift. Okay? Strength is a skill. Learn the technique. Accentuate the negatives and add the pauses. Eccentric isometrics and quick reps are for power and endurance training, not strength. And if you don't know what power endurance training, then you should definitely not be moving quickly. Okay, that's for a whole nother topic. So let's talk about the frequency of your workouts. If there's one thing that I learned recently within the past few years is that I love high frequency training a lot more than I enjoy working out 2 or 3 times a week and destroying myself so I can get the benefits. I think there's a ton of benefits of working out more frequently, and we'll talk about a little bit of them. And I mean this in 2 ways. Number one, a lot of people are on bro splits. What's the bro split? Chest on Mondays, back and biceps on Tuesdays. Guys, it's an antiquated model. It's not wrong, it can work for you, but what I'm telling you here is try to hit your muscle groups 2 or 3 times a week. Start with 2, how about that, okay? If you're doing 20 sets of chest on Monday, I'm not saying, whoa, well, now 20 sets of chest on Monday and 20 sets on Thursday. I'm saying take that volume, split it in half, you'll get better results. Your muscles grow for about 2-3 days and then they stop. Of course, that's depending on the stimulus and how hard you work and a bunch of other factors, but for us in here, this is a good thing to follow, okay? For us guys who aren't on a ton of drugs and want results. So, and the other aspect is hitting workouts more frequently. You burn more calories when you do that for the week. You're going to get better results. And so what are we talking about? We're talking about 2 to 6 days of strength training per week. 2 to 6 days. Okay? And what I get people doing in my coaching group, what I try to sell them on, the idea, because I don't really try to push people to do 2. I think that's too low. I think most of us can do 3, although we have some people who do 2. 6 is a lot. You really have to be committed. But 3 and 4 day splits work best. So let's look at how to do that. If you're going to do a 3-day workout, it should be total body. And again, this is a sample. This isn't a law, okay? I'm giving you something to go by to help you and get in better shape with how you structure your workout. So total body workout, go do some walking the next day. Not high intensity interval training, not sprinting, you can do that stuff, but just get walking. I walk more now than ever. It's one of the most important things that you can do for yourself. So hit total body 3 times a week and make sure you get out there and you move on the other days, right? Simple, right? Simple. If you want to do a bit more, upper body, Monday, Tuesday, lower body, 40, recovery walk, right? Then hit upper and lower body again, and then make sure you get in some walking on the weekend. Simple. Track your progress. So important. I mean, if we're going to do something, don't we want results? If we're going to do it, right? If we're going to commit to it, if we're going to develop the discipline, if we're going to put in the effort, don't we want results? I know I do. So I don't love exercise. I like the results that I get from it. And if I didn't get results, I probably wouldn't do it. I mean, I like playing sports and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and, but exercise, the reason why we do it is because we get results. So the first thing I want to talk about is the principle of progressive overload. You've got to ask yourself, Are you able to lift more weight, do more sets, do more reps with the same weight, do a harder version of an exercise every month? Are you getting results every week, every month? Every month, you should be able to progress. Okay, and I don't mean indefinitely forever, because then we'd have people who are like 500 pounds of muscle and they squat like 8,000 pounds, but we don't have that. But for us who we're not athletes at the peak of our potential, we have years of progress. I've been in this for years, and I still have years to go. I'm not where I want to be. And when you see me next year, if you see me next year, if hopefully I get invited back, or you'll see I'm in better shape. Okay, I'm stronger, I'm leaner, perhaps, depending on how my diet's been going. But I'll definitely be in better shape. I'll definitely be stronger. I'll definitely be able to do things that I wasn't able to do a year ago. And I want you, that should be your goal as well. You all could do that, okay? Intensity and volume. This gets a little weird after our talk about the time under tension, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because I want you to stay in that strength zone and hypertrophy zone, right? And that should really be 1 to 5 reps, or 1 to 5, 1 to 6 reps, 8 to 12 reps. But I'm bringing this up because I see a lot of people who, in fact, someone sent me their workout. They're like, oh, I do 12 to 16 reps all the time, right? In fact, he sent me this program. I said, well, where are the reps and the sets? You're just showing me the exercises. The reps and the exercises, you plug and play with the exercises. You can exchange them. The stress on your body is measured in the sets, the reps, the time under tension. So focus on getting stronger is what I'm really wanting you to take away from that. Focus on getting stronger. Also, really important, longer rest intervals produce better muscle and strength gains. They did a study recently. Brad Schoenfeld, Dr. Brad Schoenfeld, guy who's doing some great research to help us make better decisions about our training, and also to help validate some of the things we thought were true. And they used 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Rest enough so that you can recover and do a good job on the next set. Okay? Again, goes back to that strength as a skill. It's not about trashing your muscles and squeezing out reps no matter what, grinding them out. It's about resting enough to do the next set with good technique. Okay, so rest 2 to 3 minutes between straight sets that you really push yourself. Okay, a straight set is just one exercise at a time. I did a set of bench press, I rest, I do another set of bench press. Okay, especially when you're lifting heavier weights, super important. And if you're alternating sets, 60 to 90 seconds. Okay, start experimenting with longer rests. People are so impatient, and I work with guys, time is money, right? And then I say, okay, you know what, we're gonna do an experiment. You're gonna lift some weight, and we're gonna do it your way. Time is money, 30 seconds of rest, and then we're gonna do it my way. I always get the message across, always. Because when we allow our muscles to recover, we perform so much better. And that gives you better results. Harder isn't better, better is better. Progress is better. Focus on recovery, you know? So many of us just like trash my body with exercise. And people are addicted to it now. And I used to be an exercise addict. I didn't love CrossFit or any of those things. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Guys in there really love punishment. I was hooked. Steve. So focus on recovery, all right? Exercise is great, but it can ruin your joints. And I'll tell you, I'm in pain every single day because of some of the knucklehead things that I did in strength training and in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So focus on recovery. And what do I mean by that? Well, one of the most important concepts I can tell you is exercise equals stress, right? Who thinks you get stronger from working out? Raise your hand. Come on, raise them up. None of this, raise them up. Okay, thank you for committing. Who thinks you get stronger from resting? Awesome. Hey, cheating back there. So, and you're right? It's the combination of stimulating your muscles and recovering from it. But I was kind of joking around a little bit, but what I want you to understand is you could keep exercising and make your muscles smaller. You could do that, all right? You could go backwards. You could get weaker. You could decrease your motivation to train if you push yourself hard enough. So training doesn't make you stronger, recovery does. All right? Factors that affect recovery: sleep, nutrition, stress management. We could throw in there smart supplementation. Supplements can help you as well. Although my number one supplement rule is if you don't have all these other things handled, don't waste your time. Can you say that again? My number one rule with supplements is that if you don't have your exercise handled, your sleep, your nutrition handled, don't waste your time with them. Get your workouts handled, get your diet handled. And I've been there, guys. I was the guy. Like, what's the magic supplement? I'm not getting the results that I want. Tell me what I got to take. This Bodybuilding magazine. I tried it all. I spent I don't know how many thousands of dollars on supplements. Tens of thousands easily. And that's my biggest takeaway from supplements. So there you go. Some of them can help, and if you want to ask me afterward, I'm happy to answer questions. But make sure you ask yourself, doing more sets and reps with the same weight, doing harder versions of an exercise, you got to be making progress, and recovery is part of how you do that. All right? And if you feel overwhelmed, I get it. I've been in this business for 17 years, and I would love to help you with it. If you'd like to be part of our coaching program, you could quit altogether, right? And just say, you know what, this stuff is too hard. You could also say, I'm going to try to do it on my own. That works. I've been doing it on my own, though I made it my profession. And I made sure I went to plenty of seminars just like this, all on fitness stuff. Okay? Or you can get faster results by letting an expert help you. I mean, that's why we're all here, right? And if you like my style, if you like my approach, check it out. LegendaryLifePodcast.com/coaching. And you can also buy the workouts, okay? So here's something I want to leave you with. No man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. And that was Socrates, the original Socrates. And I want you to think about that for a minute, right? And think about everything that we talked about. This has the power to transform your life. If you do it right, if you do it at the right amount, okay? And you all have good enough genetics. It doesn't matter what your predisposition is. We all can get stronger. We can all build muscle. I am not genetically gifted in this department, okay? You're seeing the years of study and effort and experimentation up here, all right? And this is, and I'm still not like cover model ready. You're not going to slap me on Men's Health magazine. It's cool, but we can all make progress, and we should all aspire to make progress. So thank you so much for watching. And if you want we'll do a Q&A. If you want this slide presentation, because I know I went through a lot of information, you can find it at legendarylifepodcast.com/21. So legendarylifepodcast.com/21.
Let's give it up for Ted Ryce.
Thank you. I'll let them...
We got a lot of questions, Ted. Get ready.
Thank you for the talk. I got a lot of questions, but I'm going to leave it with two really, really quick ones. I'm all about efficiency. It's kind of my thing. Do you have any opinion on efficiency, all form being equal, everything perfect, between dips versus bench press and then frog squats versus squats? Efficiency.
Efficiency. Well, if you have a bench press, you need the equipment to do it.
I mean, saying you have the equipment as well, what's going to be working more, going to be working more muscles, releasing more testosterone for one rep, would you say?
I got you. That's a great question. However, the question is really about loading, right? So if you could do 20 dips, it's not that challenging of an exercise. So we're really talking about, what you're really asking is about the intensity. The intensity is what causes the change. The exercises are more arbitrary. Could you do a dip? Could you do a bench press? Could you do an overhead press? Could you do an incline press? Could you do, the part of your question is definitely doing a compound exercise, a pushing instead of say a fly will work more muscle, but between a dip and a bench press, it really has to do with the intensity. So focus on the intensity. What do I mean by intensity? Because there's some high intensity training guys here. I mean the weight that you're using. So focus on lifting more weight. And if you do the eccentric isometrics and you start loading and you start getting stronger, that's what's going to give you what you're looking for.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nick.
Okay, next question. For weight loss, which one is better? Lifting weights or cardio? When I say cardio, it's walking, spinning, and boxing.
Yeah. Which one is better? Yeah. Great answer. And I would say, if you notice the way I structured the workouts, the 45 minutes to 60 minutes of walking, I would do both, is what I'm getting at. And weight training is really important because your muscles are the biggest endocrine organ of your body. It secretes all types of chemicals, and when you start stimulating it, you can become more sensitive to insulin, which is a good thing. You will burn calories by doing the workout. You'll also burn more calories because you'll put muscle on your body. You'll create a more optimal state. So if you're asking if you only had the time, I would pick strength training. I think there's way more benefits, but come on, you could walk on the off days too. So I would go strength lifting with some low intensity exercise in between.
I had it much for weight loss, for particular this purpose, not growing muscles. It's much more effective walking and spinning than weightlifting. Is it correct or it's not correct?
Okay. It's a great question. You're really diving deep, and I appreciate that. What we found, number one, I don't know if everyone's done, all the scientists have done the research in the metabolic hoods, because that's how you figure out how many calories. It's through oxygen consumption. It's how you figure out how many calories people are consuming. So are you talking about high intensity interval training?
I'm talking about spinning and walking, like 40 minutes, 1 hour walking or 60 minutes spinning. Compared to weightlifting, 1 hour left weightlifting.
I would go for the longer exercise if you were going after, if you were simply like, I don't care about strong or any of the stuff you talked about. I would do 60 minutes of lower intensity exercise if I just cared about losing body fat, losing weight.
Hey Ted, great talk. Loved everything about it. One thing I ask is, so the majority of my physical work is rock climbing. I have no desire to go to a traditional gym or do bench or any of that stuff. So what I really focus on is core and my hands. Are there any specific workouts that you do that you can recommend to sort of work on core and hands?
Yeah, that, there are a ton of great hand exercises. You probably have some killer grip strength. What I would focus on is upper body pulling exercises, and just, I would say gymnastic style strength training. Dips with rings, pull-ups with rings. That's going to strengthen your grip. Also fat grip, increasing the diameter of the grips that you use on literally any exercise is going to improve your grip strength. There are specific finger and wrist exercises that I do for like handstand training. I'm not going to show them now, but maybe you and I could hang out a little bit later. But yeah, man, I would look into body weight training and also loading that body weight exercise so that you continue to get stronger in both your grip and in your core, dragon flags or body levers, stuff that's easy to talk about, but hard to demonstrate right now. But great question. Thank you.
Hey, Ted. I was wondering, how do you reduce the risks of injury in like functional or gymnastic exercises?
Functional, and when you say functional gymnastics exercises, can you be
Like the dragon thing?
dragon flag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that has to have to do a lot of like balance and stuff.
Yeah, getting a good coach. All right, and the progression, too, is what you're really talking about. One thing that people do is they jump into hard exercises they have no business doing. And like we talked a little bit about how your muscles get strong very quickly, but your connective tissue lags behind because it doesn't have the blood supply that your muscles do. So you really have to get a progression, a slow progression that has to do with the exercises that you choose to do. Also, the sets and reps that you use. And what I would tell you, a bit more of a practical takeaway, is go slow. Focus on the technique. Maybe even close your eyes and make sure that you're working the right muscles, that you're maintaining the right position. So just take it slow. You know when you're pushing something, focus on that skill that you're trying to build, and that's what I would tell you. Yeah.
Hey, Ted, great talk.
Thank you.
So for me, actually, let me just go on the question. Can body weight training and, push-ups, pull-ups, that kind of thing be as effective as like lifting? So for me, I'm 240 pounds, but I'm in pretty good shape. So, are pull-ups, push-ups as effective as, benching? Great
question. And I love this question. And what we're talking about are tools, right? Well, what's the advantage of a machine chest press? Well, make it harder, you put the pin down. How do you make a bench press harder? You slap weights on it. And if you're 120 pounds, 140 pounds, 150 pounds, you can get to the point where push-ups are not really challenging for you, even if you do the slow lifting. So it's a great question, but for a guy your size and a guy my size, I weigh 200 pounds or 203 maybe, and body weight strength training is going to be pretty hard. And are there a lot of differences between the strength that you'll build with body weight strength training versus a bench press? Not really, okay? There are some drawbacks to body weight training. It's hard to isolate, and the previous speaker said you can't isolate anything, and that's pretty much true. But it's hard to do a bicep curl, right, with body weight training. You could do it with rings or TRX, but you're still like having to maintain this position, and all these other joints are acting. But yeah, it has to do with the way you structure your workouts and how you progress them. And if you're asking, can you make body weight training as hard as a gym workout? Sure. Will you have drawbacks because you can't slap 500 pounds on a barbell and lift it? Yeah, the biggest drawback is the leg training in particular. You'll have to do more single leg things. You may even have to invest in a weight vest. But you can look the way you want to look with body weight training, for sure.
All right, Ted, one question, and it has to do with jiu-jitsu and training. So I've trained for 6 years. I get burnout. I ask so many jiu-jitsu practitioners, and I'm 39, like, you train too hard. I can't think. I can't do my business. I can't focus on creative things. And there's a few other guys that train in that age range, but most of the guys are a little bit younger. Every single one is just like, well, no, you just got to get used to it, or train more efficiently. What troubles do people who do an active sport that they train like that and potentially, burn themselves out with? What's happening there? Do they need to train more? Do they need to rest more? What really do we need to be looking at there?
Yeah, great question, Steve. And you mentioned jiu-jitsu in particular. We've got Primal Joe in the back here. When he was playing football professionally, they didn't get out there and beat the crap out of him with drills and practice and hard practice. Take more. They spend most of their time on recovery. I went in, I was acquainted with the head athletic trainer of the Miami Heat, and what you don't see with professional athletes is that they spend a ton of time on recovery, on massage, on soft tissue therapy, on things that put them back together. You only see them out on the court doing their thing and going crazy and in action. So to answer your question, Steve, I think especially with our sport or our art, right, and martial arts in general, there's this thing where you have to practice hard all the time. You have to roll all the time, and that's the same with all weekend warrior athletes. So maybe you're not in jiu-jitsu, but you're playing football on the weekend. You've got to manage your stress, and stress doesn't mean like, okay, meditate and that's all fine, but you've got to manage the physical stress to your bodies. Your joints will start to break down, and it's really an individual thing too. I mean, I don't practice anymore because of some of my injuries. So it's an individual thing. Make sure you take deload weeks. If I were going to go back into a sport, I would take deload weeks every 4 to 6 to 8 weeks. I would take one every 4 weeks. With my situation, but take deload weeks where you only do drills, light drilling, and make sure that you're paying attention to your body. You can also use HRV, heart rate variability, which is a technology that measures the level of physiological stress to help guide better decisions with your training. That's another thing you can do. But it's a good one, man. A good question, but it's really individual. So, yeah.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have. Let's give it up for Ted Ryce.
All right, thank you. My pleasure.